Here's an AFN news update for you. I'm Bronson Woodruff. President Biden says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not doing enough to reach a deal with Hamas terrorists who are threatening to kill even more hostages. Biden spoke to reporters 2 days after 6 hostages, including one Israeli American, were found dead after being killed by Hamas. Protests rocked Israel on Sunday. When asked if Netanyahu was doing enough, Biden responded, no. Biden was arriving at the White House for a Situation Room meeting with advisors involved in negotiating a hostage deal and a ceasefire. The president insisted that negotiators remain, quote, very close to a deal, adding that hope springs eternal. Meanwhile, thousands of Israelis poured into the streets Sunday in grief and anger over the Hamas execution of the 6 hostages. The families and much of the public blamed Netanyahu, saying they could have been returned alive if the Israeli prime minister gave in to Hamas demands. Some vans at the back of a motorcade carrying Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz crashed on the highway while heading from the airport to a campaign stop in Milwaukee on Monday. Walz was not hurt. President Biden called from Air Force One and spoke to Walz a short time later as the president was traveling to a separate campaign stop in Pittsburgh with VP Kamala Harris. Harris herself was campaigning in Detroit before heading to the joint event later in the day with Biden, and her campaign said that she also spoke with her running mate by phone after the crash. Walz was riding closer to the front. It was said to have happened on Interstate 794. As Columbia goes back to classes today, students and faculty are planning and bracing for the resumption of the pro-Hamas, anti-Israel protests that convulsed the Manhattan campus at the tail end of the spring semester and touched off a wave of college demonstrations across the nation. In recent weeks, the university's new leadership has embarked on listening sessions aimed at cooling tensions. They released a report on campus anti-Semitism and circulated new protest guidelines meant to limit disruption. However, student organizers are still promising to ramp up their actions, including possible encampments, until the university agrees to cut ties with companies linked to Israel. Mahmoud Khalil, a graduate student who represented campus protesters in negotiations with the university, said, quote, as long as Columbia continues to invest and to benefit from Israeli apartheid, the students will continue to resist. Not only protests and encampments, the sky is the limit. Elon Musk's social media platform X is blocked in Brazil nationwide. One of Brazil's Supreme Court justices made that decision. Now the Brazilian Supreme Court panel on Monday ruled unanimously that decision will stand. That's according to the court's website. And that'll do it for this AFN News Update. Thanks for watching. I'm Bronson Woodruff.